everyone, Linda here, the Scrapbooking photographer. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, then an extra big welcome to you. And if you're returning, an extra big welcome to you too, because I really appreciate your support. Today, I'm taking part in a new hop and an old hop. So the old part is the 30 days of sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. And today we're working on day 3, which is this sketch here. I'm looking forward to doing this. My photos are a little bit bigger than these because they are 6x4s. The new hop that I'm working on today is brand new. This is the very first one for the Girls Downunder. So Australian and New Zealand creatives who are making YouTube videos in this hop, and the subject for this month is animals. So I've stretched that to include birds because Australia has some amazing native animals. Us not so many that are attractive, but we do have some beautiful birds. So I'm going to be talking about this, or scrapping this Kaka. Now this one was actually in the zoo, but I have come across them in the wild as well. But they're such cheeky little devils, and they get quite close to you. And I was in the zoo with a lovely long lens on my nice camera, and this guy came up here and I ended up taking a selfie with my phone. So it pays to be prepared. So I'm going to put those together today. The Girls Downunder hop will be one that comes along each week. I'm not sure if I will be able to take part each week, but I'll certainly be trying to include it in my schedule. So let's get started. And so the paper at the back that I'm going to be using is from a close to my heart pack called Hope and Kindness, and it's got a lovely kind of a texture to it. On the other side, it's just the same, slightly darker. So we might actually use the darker side. I'm also going to team it up with a piece of this paper which was from a mix-in pack. And I thought these sort of resembled a little bit of feather, leaf, that kind of thing. So I'll be using that inside that square because it's not quite a full piece. And I'll be teaming it up with some basic pine that will go with that, and also with this piece left over from my Oh Handsome, or whatever it was called, pack last year from Close to My Heart. The first thing I'll do is gut the inside out of that Hope and Kindness piece that's going at the back. These packs are few and far between now, so saving everything that we can to use at a later date has become very important. So if I put in the trimmer at about 2 inches, I can take a nice big square out of the back, and I might be able to use that on the top of the page to blend it in as well. Then the lighter piece with the feathers come leaves on it, I'm going to trim down so that I've got a piece that's wide enough for me to use later, as well as evening it up. So there will be a bigger piece, as I mentioned before, going across the bottom, which is this piece from the Oh Handsome pack, and that will cover any shortfall that I have between the two. This piece is also going to provide the 2 diagonal strips going up to the left-hand corner. So I've cut 1/4 of an inch off for both of those, and I'll go round what's left with the blending brush just to get rid of the white core that's in the middle and help it blend more into the other greens on the page. I really like that tool. It comes in very handy for that purpose. So as you can see, these strips will go diagonally up this way somehow. It's not quite finished being planned yet, so it'll all come together eventually. And here's the triangle that will go in on the top right. And as you can see, that changes the angle of these strips that are going to come on the side. In the sketch, there are some flowers behind those lines, but I don't really want to put flowers there. So I'm going to use this paprika, which just brings out a little bit of that colour that's in the bird. They're a brown bird, but they do have a reddish tinge to them. And I'm going to use this page trimmer or border trimmer It would be great to use on the edge of a page in a journal or something similar, because it doesn't actually cut it out completely. So I've had to do it on the two sides of this piece of paprika and cut it to size, and I'll just pull it out and then use it that way. So I've used the sides of the piece of cardstock to be the sides, so they're nice and straight. And these will just fit in to highlight between that diagonal line and the lighter paper behind. So I think that one will work well there, and I think one will be enough on the internal one, but it will need to go up to the top. So you'll see me shift it up to the top in a moment. There we go, because the photos, of course, will go down the right and cover the gap at the bottom. So I can stick these down now, and if I use my tape runner on the all-purpose mat here, I can attach the filigree piece wherever I want it, and when there's a little bit of tape left on the mat, I can just rub it off like that and it's clear again. So it's a lot easier than fiddling about with glue or anything with all the little holes and whatnot. So there we are, I've done the same again there, and that piece will be right to put on the page. So lining everything up, I need to put the triangle in first so that I get the angle right of the strips. And the first strip that we're going to go in will go from one corner right down. So putting this piece in, of course, I only need to put tape on three sides because it's just a little bit short of the bottom border. Not that you'll know that when it's all complete, of course. And so this first strip is coming in. I'm just dry fitting where it's best to go, but I do want the light green to come through it, and I need to move it down a little bit because I thought I was going to cut it on an angle, but I need all of it really, so I'm going to bring it back down and pop it in from that far corner. So I can fiddle around with these to make sure I've got the right distance between them so they look in proportion. And I also need to make sure that the piece that I bring in at the bottom is going to cover where things join. So basically what you see when it's all finished, it makes everything look continuous, but it's all a bit of a patch job underneath, as you can see. And then when I'm happy, I will stick them both down with the tape runner. And what I did realise is that it would have been better to have done this before I put the lighter colour onto the dark green background, because it's best to cut any overhangs off from behind. So it is a little tricky when I turn them up the other way to cut the excess off. But as you can see, it comes up okay, and I just use a little bit of my blending tool again just to brush a little bit more green over the edges where the trimmer was just a little bit too tight. So I'm happy with that, and then I'll just put this piece over the bottom again and make sure it's right and try it with the photos. And as you can see, the bits that we've added in work quite well. And then this lighter strip will go underneath where I'm going to put the title. So I'll stick that strip down and put it onto the wider one, and then I can attach it all to cover up that gap that you can see at the bottom of the page. So I'm using my Versamat to make sure that the lighter colour is centred in that bigger piece, and then I'll use the Versamat again to make sure that I get it straight, because it's not going straight to the bottom. There's about an inch or so below it. So we'll make sure that that's nice and straight. And then I will just trim off this extra bit. It's funny how 12 by 12 papers are sometimes 12 1/8 by 12. So I've trimmed that off and then put the photos back in. Now I decide that the photos will go there, and I put the tape runner on the back, but when I come to adhere them onto the page, I decide to go straight, which is what it is in the sketch and actually what I was thinking was by the time I add the tabs and the ribbons, it will look better if these are more vertical and straight up and down. So that's what I do, I put those in there, and then it's time to do the title. Now that piece that I cut out from the back and gutted will be perfect because it will bring that external or exterior colour back into the page. So I'm going to use the Cuttlebug to cut out these 2 letters twice, Kaka, which is how you spell the word, and they just fit really nicely in that gap there. So it's not quite the same place for the title as a sketch, but I don't think that matters. You make the sketch yours and make it work with what you've got. So I do like things that line up, so I will have this title fitting so that it lines up down the left and down the bottom as well. Now to bring in a little bit more of that paprika colour, I'm going to cut out the tabs in that colour and also in the lighter green colour so I can mix and match. I'm not quite sure which works until I actually dry fit them here, and I end up swapping them around a little bit so that they work better on the page. And then I'll do the same with the ribbon down the bottom, and I end up with a paprika, a green, and also a lighter green one. So I can make the lighter green one a bit thinner, mainly because it was made out of a piece of scrap that was left over, and then I'll use that just to trim up the middle and from each corner into the intersection to make that ribbon look. While I finish that and stick them all down, I'll just remind you that this is a hop. The Girls Downunder hop has, I think there's only 4 of us at the moment, so please check out all the other videos that will be listed in the description below. We'd love you to join along with us each week and see all these Australian and New Zealand animals. The 30 days sketches will have lots of different videos on the playlist too, so make sure you check that out too for lots of inspiration. I'm just checking the page against the sketch, and it is a little bit different, but it's very obviously still been made from that sketch, and it was a great sketch to work with, so thank you very much, Amanda, for that. I'm just adding 3 little enamel dots before I add my journaling to this page, and I've put a little bit underneath the title just to say that I was at Hamilton Zoo, but it hasn't got quite enough information because I really want to add in about having the big camera but using my phone to take the selfie. So I've brought in my journaling strips and just added a little bit more of the pine ink with the blending tool, and pop a couple of little strips down the bottom there to give me a bit extra space to write. So I can write that story, and that will finish the page off really nicely. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed that, and please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'd love to have you join me next time, and I look forward to then. Happy crafting, everyone.